Welcome, everyone, to Generation Dan. What the hell is that title? I don't know what to do with that title. That title is nothing. We had a real guest, and then something happened, and then now we have Cole. Cole is also a real guest. Hi, Cole. How's it going?
Fill in the love.
That's
Fill in the love.
Cole is not a real person. He is a character like the rest of us.
There's a defect where if he's not wearing headphones, it echoes because something.
He only talks after from noon up until midnight. He doesn't talk outside. He just looks at you, he's like, and just grunts. If you ever stay at his house, you'll know. And Joey
I don't wake up till noon.
Yeah, exactly. It's very things. Look at this juicy troika of manliness. That's sure. Yeah.
Wait, how does daylight saving factor into that? So like when we fall back, do you now not wake up until 1 p.m. or do you wake up at 11?
Still noon.
Still noon. Okay.
Just, that doesn't affect me. It's just now I get 5 hours of daylight. So
I gotta say,
some cases, come February, it's like 4.
Yeah.
Joey, when you say Browns, I just assume you have to poop. And then he's like, MFing Browns, it's he's constipated.
No, the fucking Cleveland Browns, represent. We won today.
Did you really?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
In throwing the pigskin?
We're looking like a deep playoff team this year.
Oh, that's exciting.
Okay.
How the fuck do legit sleep? Do you legit sleep till noon? Do you pee the bed? Bro, he's young.
I don't go to bed till like 4 in the morning.
He has a working bladder and doesn't have a swollen prostate like old people like you, Joey. That's why. That's how he can hold in his pee. Okay.
I also just don't go to bed till like 4, so it's still 8 hours.
Also true. Yeah. I find it's nice going to bed really late, and then I can do without sleep, but at the same time I'm like, there's just things I want to do in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I enjoy the quiet, right? Which is, just so people know, a sign of depression. Oh, yeah.
There's an episode of Rick and Morty that's kind of horror themed, where they get this device that gets your sleeping self to do things. One of my favorite episodes of the entire show, where it gets them to do things while they're asleep, and then the night person develop separate personalities and then start wanting freedom for themselves. And then it gets into this whole philosophical thing about are they a different person?
Yeah.
Sounds like Ambien.
Kind of. Yeah.
That's fair. That is.
But yeah,
that is
just as a night person, I okay. I was thinking about this the other day. I kind of enjoy the morning when the sun isn't quite up yet.
Yes.
And it's the guys going by with the newspaper or whatever. I hate the middle of the day. Is that a thing?
Yeah, because that's when the people are awake.
Yeah.
You can be an early bird and a night owl, but just not middle of the day.
There's a meme where it's two roller coasters, but one is normal people and the other one is zombies. Yeah. And the definition is when you're coming home from the club and people are waking up to work and how they cross over. Yeah. You're like, bro, I've walked out of bars and they're like, oh, the sun's up. They're like, oh, Jesus, why do people wake up at this time?
Yeah.
And people are just and they're just like, oh, good morning. I'm like, oh, don't talk to me, freak.
No, from 10 a.m. to about 4 or 5 p.m. depending on the time of year.
It's the worst time of the day.
Time of the day. Yeah.
So hilariously,
I've legit stayed up on many occasions. Okay, not so much now that I'm a functioning father and whatnot, but in my more youth, teenage years and early 20s, I did a lot of stay up all night and then have a cup of coffee as the sun rises, drink my coffee, and then go to bed. It was so weird.
Nice.
That's nice. That sounds nice.
But the fact that I could drink coffee and go to sleep was so crazy. Because if I have coffee after 5 p.m. now, I'm fucked up until tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you how long after having the cup of coffee would you go back to sleep?
Bro, it fucks me up because I'll forget too. Because if I have coffee with dinner.
Back then, when it was when you were able to do that, would you drink the cup of coffee and be like, okay, I'm done, and then immediately get in bed?
Immediately, dude. Okay. Immediately. There's almost a ritual of going to sleep.
Okay.
Hilariously, Joey sold Atlas on going to a football game in LA. And he's like, don't worry, we have a ride and everything. You just have to come. And I was like, if that's the case, I'm in. And now he's like, Atlas, you're going to do a solid and pick us up from LAX on December 3rd? The answer is go fuck yourself.
Also,
Is that what you said?
That was the whole conversation. He's like, hey, if you don't have to pick us up or anything, do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, I'll just meet you guys there. It's perfect. This is fucking Joey. Wow. I used to be a night person, but then I got old. You've been old since you were 13, Joey. Let's be honest. Okay?
Now, in his defense, I have definitely, due to having to like wake up at ass o'clock in the morning for my job, I have kind of become that Joey is describing.
Yeah, but you have to wake up early in the morning and then deal with teenagers your entire day. Yeah. That's not the same as a regular job. That's a job where you're not allowed to punch people in the face. Cole has regularly been like, I'll just drop you, guy. Fuck you. I too. I've been like, I'll punch a teenager. I don't give a shit. And I'm like, oh, what are you gonna do? I'll beat up your parents too. Bring it on. That's fine. Unless you got a cop uncle.
I have a satisfactory rate of 87 on DoorDash.
You what?
Because I have a satisfactory rate of 87 on DoorDash.
Is that good?
No, it's terrible. Because I get into it with the customers a lot.
Bro, just drop it and walk away. Take a picture.
I try, but they ask all these dumbass questions, and I get tired of it. You're allowed, for record, you get kicked off if you drop below 85. So
really?
Oh,
I'm dancing the line right now.
That is a B.
Yeah, that is still a B.
I know,
that is a
right?
B grade. That should not be kicked off. Like, okay, when you are looking up like a business on, Yelp or whatever, I find it more trustworthy if it's like 4 out of 5 with like 90 reviews versus like 5.
Yeah, if it's
5 stars off of like 4.
And we learned this past couple of years that if people start trolling, that Google will just step in and kill all the negative reviews, which you're like, that isn't reasonable. So
right.
So
Joey says Clay be peeing on their food, which, like, realistically, if you start talking to me, I just piss on your food too. Be like, just don't talk to me. I'm here to deliver the food, not to answer your stupid questions.
I hate when they're like, can you pick up ketchup? I'm like, oh, here we go.
Did you order it?
It's like, you should have ordered it. It's not my job to check the bag. The bag's sealed when I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm pick up and delivery. That's all I'm supposed to do. And now I know once you've asked for the ketchup, you're gonna ask for a straw. You're gonna tell me, oh, you gotta take a left and blah 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 blah. I have a GPS. I have a fucking GPS.
So the answer to this, Cole, is I asked them and they said everything that was ordered was in the bag, so you're good. Because you know what?
They give you shit for that. They give you a bad review for shit like that too when you're like curt with them, I guess.
Listen, you know what? People be like, no,
you
just say with a smile, be like, oh, I checked and they said they included it from the restaurant. And that way you did your due diligence, but the restaurant are a bunch of liars. That's fine.
I love the idea of like you go and okay, so with every like DoorDash thing, people have gotten lazy to the point. I know I'm like 10 years late on this take, but people have gotten lazy to the point of like it's fast food.
Yeah.
It's already fast on its own, and you're late. Like
now it's lazy
and delivered.
Yeah, and okay, pandemic aside, I understand that was like a big part of like why that became so much more of a thing.
That's the other thing. You make a solid point too, because I never thought about it till just now. Before DoorDash, people were always going to like McDonald's or Arby's or wherever and getting their shit wrong. And now you expect me, a third party, to get it right for you?
Yeah,
they couldn't get it wrong when it was you. How the fuck do I care?
A third party that has no say in the process, and you got to fix it. You're like, that's not. Fucking figure it out.
You don't want
no
me like
skin in the game, really. Yeah. Honestly, I don't give a shit if it's right.
You don't want me like breaking the seal and making sure you have like ketchup or whatever. You have ketchup in your house. You're at home.
If the seal is broken, I will punch you right in the face immediately. Be like,
I agree.
Come back here. I'm gonna beat shit out of you. Yeah.
I hate it when like don't order from Wingstop because or at least drinks because like Wendy's, Wingstop, a couple of other places, they make the DoorDasher get the drink, and we don't wash our hands on a regular basis. We're in our car, in and out of our car. You know what I mean? Like, I assume most DoorDashers can't even pass a food handler's license. I have one for obvious reasons, but
That's a fair assumption.
Yeah,
Katie will do this thing where she'll order like from order grocery store or whatever DoorDash, and it's like, I am volunteering as tribute, as your fiance. I will go get it, not just because I want to save us money on the DoorDash, but also the guy in the Ralphs will get shit wrong. I guarantee.
100%.
Like, just
he
let
doesn't
me.
give a shit.
Yeah, and like I find, I don't know about you guys, but I find grocery shopping to be almost meditative. Like,
yeah, I do too.
Unless you can't find shit, then it gets
then it's annoying.
Right? If someone doesn't give you a good list where it's like, I want this brand of this specific soy sauce, I'm good. I'll find it. But if you're like, give me soy sauce, there's 95 different types of soy sauce. It's not going to work for me.
I'm picking the first one, and if you're dissatisfied,
if it's wrong, that's on you.
People know better than to give me a list. If you send me to get your groceries and it's more than like 5 items, I'm forgetting everything you said on your list. I'm getting what I want. We're eating what I want.
Like, I got 70 bars.
And then I'll be like, oh, I got that whipped cream you asked for, but not the 70 other things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that was dumb. Why would you go grocery shopping, you fucking idiot?
Look, the worst part is now, if you order online, so when we had COVID and we've been sick, Victoria she'll order through one of the grocery stores that's local to us and just be like, just to make life easier. So so everyone gets groceries, right? But they'll sub out dumb shit. They're like, you asked for cabbage, we got you lettuce. You're like, no, that's not the same thing.
Yeah,
why
that's
are you
what
guys
I'm
so
talking
stupid?
about.
Yeah,
that guy.
It's that guy. Because they don't care about the accuracy. They're like, you asked for bananas, so I gave you tuna. You're like, why are those comparable? That's not a thing.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's either that or the guy who kind of has it right, but it turns into like. Do you guys remember the Seinfeld where he has the guy who's like a contractor and he's doing his kitchen and he is consulting him for every little step along the way?
See,
I was an Instacarter. I know what that's like. Look, I quit that job.
Well, you have to listen. There's a certain degree of critical thinking needed in life. If you don't have that, you're a burden on society. Okay, you have to be able to go, well, this is what they said. This is what they mean. I'll connect the dots. Mm-hmm. If you have to ask for every single step, you are a burden. That's no longer. You have taken out the convenience of the process, right?
I feel like everybody has to be more malleable too, though.
Bro, when I was growing up, you had 2 options: pizza, Chinese food. Aside from that, go get it your goddamn self or make it at home. Those are your options. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
malleable. Cole is thesaurus.com today. I love it. This is great.
I think he's already drunk. That's why he becomes smarter.
I haven't had anything to drink this week. Since our show, at least.
Oh, since Tuesday. That's a whole week.
Wait, which show? Hammered and Cheese or?
Yeah.
Go watch.
When are you coming on that, by the way?
Like he's coming on. You're coming on like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. Whenever it is, I'm on break from
the week of Thanksgiving. The week of Thanksgiving, he's coming on.
Okay, so next week, not this coming week.
Not this Tuesday, next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Atlas is going to be on, and the options he gave us was like, I can make tomato soup out of a can. I'm like, that's not. No, okay, we'll find something. We'll figure it out.
I know how to follow a recipe. It's the choosing the food to make that makes me want to vomit. That like.
So, okay, I want to see between you two because you guys are younger than I am, but it's the idea. I'm like, I would be okay eating the same thing every day just so I wouldn't have to deal with that shit. Like, I don't want to have to figure out, like, if I had, okay, like, every Monday I'd hear, every Tuesday I had this meal. Like, if I had a set schedule, I'd be fine with it. But people are like, well, what do you feel like? And I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm fat. It doesn't, whatever,
Set schedule, yes. The same, like meal prepping and having the same thing 5 days in a row, no.
I would be okay as long as the weekend I could just live large and be like, I'm having lobster, like just randomly.
I have a different kind of like opinion on it all. If I could afford it and I had the time to do it, I wouldn't know what I'm going to have for dinner until I go grocery shopping roughly an hour to 2 hours before dinner. I'm that type of person where I would prefer to go to the store and be like, ooh, this sounds good and that's on sale. And I would love to do that.
Yeah, but that's a very specific life. Like that, you need to be a housewife. That's what you need to be. Cole. Cole needs to be.
I tried. These women don't like it.
what just being like, greetings, ladies. I will house husband the fuck out of you,
bro.
Which like, it honestly.
I
doesn't
literally
seem that
had
bad.
a child with a construction worker.
It's-
That
Really?
sounds like I was a housewife, right?
Cole, you know what you should have done? Let her beat you up a little bit. Get a black
She
eye.
did all the time. She hit me with a vacuum cleaner one time, a baby gate, cups all the time, one glass cup. All the time I was getting beat the fuck up, bro.
Damn, that
Just saying.
messed up.
Listen.
Wait, how does
Not
the
when you
baby-
look at it, because she's like 5'4", I'm 6 foot tall, over 200 pounds. So it's like shit was just bouncing off me. I'm like, could you stop? Could you stop?
Wait, how
It's not
does
as dark as it sounds.
work? Was
Huh?
it like one of those wooden ones that's like the one from Rugrats where?
No, it was
it's
the
like,
plastic one.
oh, okay. That like kind of rolls across. So it's like
Yeah,
one
I
big-
took it away from her. Everything
Okay.
that she tried to hit me with, I just took it away from her, like threw it away. I was like,
There's a certain
Stop.
satisfaction when someone tries to hit you with something. You just take it. Like, what are you doing? Just
Yeah.
give me that. What are you thinking? And they're like, oh, you're like, thanks. I needed that. I'll just put that here. What the fuck?
it was a toxic relationship. Like, just, like, I don't know. I shouldn't even be talking about it, really.
Okay.
But
Let's
that's
talk
true.
about something else then.
That's-
That I don't know what to
Violence
talk
in the
about.
workplace. Is it okay? I feel like we should bring it back. No.
Okay, then that took a real left turn real quick.
Well, hey, you know.
I don't know. Like, you're a teacher, Atlas. I know you want to hit some of them kids every
No.
once in a while.
Oh, come
You
on.
don't want to hit them. You don't want to. I can understand if you don't think it's right, but you don't want to sometimes.
If anything,
You're
they
not
need
like,
it more.
mother-
It's not for his
The best
pleasure.
way
It's not for
the
his
best
pleasure.
way I can describe my personality at work is like Nick Nolte and everything, where it's just like, God damn it, come
That's fair.
on,
That's
like,
a decent
just-
teacher.
that all the time.
Yeah.
That's me in life. Every
So
day.
like, where like kids are, bringing up stuff that I knew from my childhood or stuff that was even before my time, generations that I just know about through either Dino or my parents or whatever. And they're like, "Sir, I found this on TikTok." I'm like, "God damn it. This is not new, guys." Okay.
There's that kind of reminded me. There's like this whole like wave of teachers who are obviously female teachers. Well, I don't know if it's obvious, but female teachers who are getting busted for having OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Atlas, are you going to be one of those?
He's on feetfinder.com.
I would like to.
The only way I'm getting
know.
the OnlyFans is if it works like Greek mythology and I turn people to stone and then take their money that way, which is not how that works.
That was the weirdest turn
Hey.
ever.
Live your dreams. I don't know.
So you want to make people rock hard on your OnlyFans? Is what you're telling me?
Ron kind of rock hard for sure.
Atlas Novak
That's not
OnlyFans.
what I
If you want to
heard.
get rock hard, he'll make it happen. That's just,
I'm gonna get stoned and make people hard. I got you.
Now I'm just imagining like, so Medusa has her OnlyFans, but then you got like, I don't know, Arachne and Athena and all the other Greek mythology people. Dino, you're great. This should be your like.
There are a lot of people. So there's one girl who will dress up in a the blow up costumes that like have a air pump to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
like the sumo wrestler costume.
Right. So this one is a cow costume, so it's all puffed out, but she'll still wear like a corset and high heels, and then just does funny dances. And I'm like, bro, I could watch it for hours. And now there's a new lady who looks smoking hot, also has like aqua blue hair, and then she's like, do you want me to dress up in this? And then she'll dress up in a corset but also a Wookiee costume, so it's like she'll be dancing and it's like, you're like, I respect that more than being a whore. I'm sorry, that's just that is some entertaining shit. And
there's this, that reminds me. You ought to know who she is, because she's Canadian. But there's this Canadian like content creator who's smoking hot.
Yeah.
But her favorite thing to do is to wear like a super like slutty outfit and like dance. But she has like a Shrek mask on. And I can't stop watching it. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
So hilarious. See, this is the thing: is there are a lot of people that are out there trying to be thirst traps, and you're like, hey, you're not good looking enough or entertaining enough to be a thirst trap. You're like, you're just being, promiscuous. That's not a thing. But you're like, throw a Shrek mask on, and the guy's like, this shit's funny, man. I can't stop watching it. And you're like, don't take yourself so seriously, right? Like,
that's wifey material, really.
And here on OnlyFans, we have our ironic boner section, and
yeah, you're like confused boners.
I don't think I'm getting a boner from something like that. But like, I'm like
no, but you could push it. You could be like, it's been a rough week. Why not? Like
now maybe if she was giving me like a hand job with the mask on, I could see it. But like, I don't know. It's not sexual.
It would depend if she have soft hands or not. If she had soft hands wearing the mask, you'd be okay. If she had hard hands, then you're definitely getting jerked off by Shrek, and I don't think that would work for me. It's a little bit too far, but I don't know. See, this is the problem: is now we're in this weird transitional period where so many people are like, "I'm living my best life." You're like, "You're not. You're definitely not." But at the same time, you're like, "They're making money."
If you're a millennial or a Zoomer, nah. It is.
No.
We are in the alternate universe that the protagonist visits to be like, this what it could be if you don't get your shit together, and then it just like everyone is downtrodden. And
listen, we talked about that.
Way to bum us out, Atlas.
Yeah, no, but remember when we talked about this? I forget if we did it on air. Was the whole idea where it's like, if you asked the question, if like you could find out what were all the decisions that you made that were wrong, and then it turns out like suddenly they just pop into your world and they're like, this could have been you, and you're like, what? Why am I the example? And you're like, I like my life, son of a bitch.
Oh yeah, it's either like all the wrong decisions or all the times someone complimented you.
Yeah. Which
I did another one for you guys. Would you rather every time you enter a room you got to do the Howard Dean scream? The You know what I'm talking about.
I'm already down for the first one.
You're either going to do that every time you enter a room, or every time you leave a room, no matter what's going on, you have to shout, I have spoken, and then slam the door.
Can I do both?
Yeah, I feel like I would do both. And be like, for a while, every time I watch, what is it? Not the Kingdom, it's Heavenly Kingdom. It's about Jerusalem and that war and everything. It's a great movie, but one guy, they're trying to...
Sounds familiar. There's something going on in current events.
Orlando Bloom is in it. It's quite good.
God, remember early 2000s Orlando Bloom? That guy couldn't lose.
No, and then he got curly hair, and you're like, ew, gross.
Right. Greasy.
There's it's got the Knights Templar, and they're like trying to convince people to go to war, and this one guy keeps on going.
The Crusades, wasn't it? Knights Templar.
No, it's called the Kingdom or Kingdom of Heaven. I think it's Kingdom of Heaven. And
Kingdom of Heaven's a video game.
There's also a movie. Anyway, so the one thing he says is he always puts his hands up. He's like, God wills it. And then so every time my wife's like, are you sure about that? I'm like, God wills it. And she gets really annoyed by that. But I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I used to do, what is it, the Fez, I'd say good day. I'd say good day. It's just like
valid.
Listen. That 70s show, right?
Yeah. Doing that to people, like, I think people need a little bit more of that. Like, I say good day. I say good day. That's reasonable.
Yeah, Knights Templar was from the Crusades.
No, but it was during the time of the Crusades. That's when it takes place. I'm pretty sure it's Kingdom of Heaven. It's a good movie. There's an extended cut where
Kingdom of Hearts. That's what I'm thinking. Kingdom of Hearts. That's what I was thinking of. Was the video game.
That sounds like a porno.
Lord of the Rings.
It probably is. They're probably knowing porn, the state of porn these days. Porn has just gotten so weird. Like, it's blurring the lines of everything else.
Also, too, there are not enough porn parodies these days. Because honestly,
I don't like porn parodies. We don't need porn parodies. We don't need to make everything pornographic.
Rule 43. If it exists on the internet, it exists as porn as well.
Star Wars fucked it up. Because as soon as they pornographed fucking Princess Leia, everything else was like game.
Listen,
and now there's a bunch of shit that I see on my feed. I'm not going to say which feed, but then I go and look at it just because it's there. Because like TikTok has controlled my brain that way at this point,
Listen.
Now there's just shit I can't unsee now, like
here's the thing with porn parodies. So the points, the the point of porn is to immediately after watching it be disgusted with what you're seeing.
100%.
Right? Versus movies, normal movies, you're supposed to watch it and be like, oh, that was good. Talk with your friends,
Sure.
Maybe get excited for a sequel, speculate about fan theories and stuff. You're not doing that with porn parodies. You're like, this is the most awful thing I've ever seen. I never want to see this again. Get this out of my sight.
And then you bookmark it for later.
And then you bookmark it for later.
Let's be honest. Yeah. Next time I feel bad, I'm just going to go directly to it. Just go to the source.
There's been very few things in porn that I was like, I don't think I'm going to try that. So, like, I just try not to search stuff, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I try not to do.
What, you hope to just stumble up? There's like porn stumble upon.
I don't even want to stumble. I just want to go to the same fucking 20 videos that I've seen before. You know, like, I'm like I have a very married man's approach to porn. Because I know there's some stuff that I'm going to be like, hey, so you want to, I saw this video the other day.
Pay your rent,
and I was thinking we could get some Fruit Loops and some milk and a spoon.
And then what the hell? Yeah, no, that's fair. Listen, it's one of those things. See, when I was growing up, it was like everything was a parody, right? Because it was that was like, especially pornography. You're like, yeah, that's how they would make it, right? And
yeah, the porn was like when you were a kid. Porn was like this, like
your options were
you had to find it, you know, and pay for it.
Artsy stuff sucked.
Okay, all right. So for Dino's generation, porn was your uncle's stash after he has a heart attack and you're going through his stuff, or
the
stash in the woods.
Yeah. Or you look like you're 20 when at the age of 15 and you're like, I'm just gonna go by myself. And
yeah, or do that. The exception more than the rule, I'm guessing. And then for Cole and I, we were kind of that first generation where it was like, this was the internet without really, like, our parents really knowing what it is. Yeah. And they were just like, here, you can research on the computer for your project now. Go do
Little do they know.
Little did they know.
Big booty.
Yeah, see, I'm significantly older than all of my other siblings, specifically my brothers.
You ratted them out, didn't you?
No, I never ratted them out. What happened was when I was already grown and out of the house, that's when my brothers were starting to be teenagers, and my mom kept texting me or calling me, but I caught your brother on porn again. I don't know where I went wrong with them. You never watch porn. And I was like, yeah, I never watched porn ever.
Yeah.
I was always watching porn. She just didn't know because she didn't know that the internet was this thing.
Did you have the desktop computer in the living room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When nobody was home. Yeah. My siblings had laptops and they got caught. That's the crazy part.
Come on.
You know what? That's just disappointing. It's just disappointing. Like, honestly, if you have a laptop and you still got caught, you're like, fucking be better. Drop some chips on the ground so you can hear them coming. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, or like, I don't know.
Put up a fishing wire so they trip.
I don't know. To be fair, I don't think they were ever caught in the act. I think my mom just like...
That's much worse.
Found like the search history and all that shit, you know. So
yeah, that's her own fault. Don't go through people's private fucking search histories.
Well, no, it's different if it's. Oh no, I guess it's the laptop. So yeah, that's.
I mean, it was the family laptop. You know what I mean? It wasn't like each individual one had that. We weren't rich, you know. Now you don't get your own laptop.
Well, that's the whole, like, can you imagine though if like I always talk about this with other people like that have kids, and I'm just like because young kids at the age of like 8 have a cell phone. I'm like, number one, get fucked. Like that is not healthy, because the internet is a den of perverts, right? Like, so the idea that you can have access to whatever, like, I remember in the 90s there was this whole thing about a child in Africa that has a BlackBerry has access to just as much information as the president of the United States, which is now was insane, because you're like, the president of the United States got a brief every day on like what is happening in the world, and he was like had his finger on the pulse of the universe, right? Like that was how much intelligence they had. Whereas you're like, oh, but if you have access to the internet, same thing. And you're like, that's insane, right? Yeah, and now people are like, look at cat videos all day. You're like, that's not
But there's also like a lot of different places where that could go wrong. You don't know how much of that is true, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Propaganda, shit like that.
Well,
but
go on. Listen, when I was young, they had the Anarchist Cookbook, which you had to hunt down from a friend of yours and like actually like photocopy the pages. Which, do you guys not know what the Anarchist Cookbook is?
I remember something about like boiling gasoline or like for making napalm or whatever.
That's not how you make napalm. And don't boil gasoline, people.
No,
that is bad.
Make napalm out of styrofoam, right?
It's styrofoam and gasoline in equal parts, and it just turns into a goo that's very sticky. And if you try and stomp it out, it will light your foot on fire. A teacher caught me that way. He's like, "Oh no! Oh
no!" Wait.
Yeah.
You made napalm.
Yeah.
Your teacher caught you.
Well, he just pulled up. It was in shop class. I did it out back, and then I didn't know that he had gone to pull a car around. So he came around, and I was like, "Shit, that's on fire!" I stamped it, and then it was on my foot. I'm like, "Nah, that's much worse." It was, yeah. And he was like, "Hey, don't be stupid." And I'm like, it's a little too late for that.
Too late.
He's like,
that was probably the most Gen X response of it, just being like, "Just don't be fucking stupid." God.
And I was like, and I'm like, "Hey, these cartridges that are filled with fireworks, these are probably not for what I should be using them for." He's like, "What the hell?" And I'm like, "I just made a funnel and just put the black powder into the little CO2 cartridge. It can explode that way. It technically makes a little grenade."
What we used to do, ironically enough, is we used to take these things in the bathrooms at the schools and just like fire? Take a lighter and just
yeah.
And then the teachers would come running. Why does it smell like fire? And we were like,
"Oh, we would do that."
No, that's weird. It doesn't smell like fire to us at all.
So a couple times what we would do is we would spray someone's like the bottom of their legs with it, and then just
oh my god,
we've had people like spray it in their hand and then light it on fire and then throw fireballs at each other.
Oh my god,
that's a fun time. See, and like during
he's like, "You didn't get the fire flower from Mario 2. That's
yeah, exactly, bro. See, my like when I was in high school too, snaps were in fashion, and I'm like, we would notorious
not Snapchat. What is
no, not Snapchat. Like jogging pants with snaps down the side.
And that's like breakaways.
Tearaways, yeah. So like if you saw somebody, you just pants them. And once I grabbed his pants and just like pulled.
He had no underwear on, huh?
No, it was worse. He wasn't wearing underwear, but also his pants were snapped, so I just ripped his pants in half. And he was like, "Why would you do that?" I'm like, "I thought they were snaps." He's like, "They're not snaps." And I'm like,
I just imagine
what did he do?
I just imagine you like in the principal's office. The kid is like has a towel over him or something. You're in trouble, and the principal's like, "Dino, this poor boy was not wearing breakaway pants, and you tore his pants off of him. Do you have anything to say?" And you have like every possible response going through your head, and you're like, "I have to lean into the giant angle, Hodor."
Before it was ever a thing, and I'm like, "Oh,
I'm Groot." Something like anything.
Listen, no, I just like, oops, what are you gonna do? And they were like, "You gotta pay."
What kind of dangerous shit did you guys do as kids? Like shit, like you did for fun, but it was like, we're gonna die. Like if we keep doing this, because like when I was a kid, we used to one of my best friends, his dad was big into bow hunting, so when he was at work. There's summertime. We would just take an arrow and just shoot in the sky. And obviously this was before the fucking the movie with Adam Sandler?
Grown Ups.
Grown Ups.
Yeah.
So we used to do that. They would just shoot it. We would run. We would just run. And after a while, we figured it's not dangerous enough. Let's light it on fire. Like
that's reasonable. Yeah.
What is with you guys and fucking fire? Like,
I also loved lighting shit on fire when I was young.
Okay, admittedly, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now Katie is baking pies for her school.
Delicious.
We're like taking orders for pies. There's like salt pecan, apple cinnamon, a few others, pumpkin.
Fuck all that, man.
One
pie. You get one pie.
No. Like she's taking orders for them, and then that sort of thing. Anyway, so
is she getting paid for this? Like, is it a fundraiser of some sort, or is just like
fundraiser?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
is it a wedding
You
fundraiser?
get one pie for me. Everybody else can bring a pie.
Yeah, it's for the wedding.
Okay, that's right.
But
That's different.
so she got one of those like little, torchy things like for
Yeah.
So it doesn't come with any butane as it should. So I got butane for it and filled it up. And then she came home one day and she's like, "It smells like axe in here. Are you having an affair?" I'm like, "Okay, a few things. One,
What, with a man?
what kind of affair would you think I would be having where it smells like axe? Two, does axe smell like butane? And
Probably.
and three, we just talked about me getting butane for the cooking lighter.
Yeah. Well, and then
So,
you're definitely gonna make. Yeah.
I don't know. Crack me up. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt Cole's thing.
Does it smell like
Things that
butane?
you shouldn't have
Don't
been
spray it
doing.
into your face.
No, why does
That's
he
wrong.
have so much to begin with? That's my...
Because he's gross. That's why. He's. Why do you have different Axe products, bro? Come on.
I'm a douchebag.
A little bit of a douchebag.
Do you remember? Okay, do you remember that commercial where it's the one that's supposed to smell like chocolate, and the guy sprays himself with it and becomes made of chocolate, and then he's
The
walking
X
around.
commercials are crazy.
Yeah, he's like walking around and women are taking bites out of him. I'll see if I can go find it.
That is
while you guys
horrific.
are telling your stories, but like
That is
it's
absolutely
crazy.
horrific. No, see, that's no. When I was young, we mostly just got into fights and like committed acts of violence. I remember one guy, he had taken, okay, you know those old plastic bats that you could get for kids, like it's a baseball bat, but it's big and red and it's like goofy sized, right?
Okay,
So if you cut off,
not the thin yellow ones, like the lifted ones.
no, yeah, the big hollow ones.
Okay, all right.
So if you take the handles of those and put a chain into each one of them, they get weight, and then you duct tape around them. Essentially, you created nunchucks. And during a fight, he pulled them out and hit somebody, and the guy's ear like came all off. Like it was
God damn.
bro.
Jesus.
Like this guy was like, "I'm a badass," and the guy's like, "You know, badass." And then it's like, my ear, and it was like, shit, the fuzz is coming, and we all just ran. But it was like, yeah, we would just do shenanigans like that. Like we would go to other school for fights, and it was like me. Like at that time, I was like 6 foot and like 280, and people were like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Ogre time," and just start fighting, right? Which was great. But people didn't get shot and shit, right? One person brought a knife out, and I'm like, "Go for it." You know how deep you have to get to go to something important? They're like, "Fuck!" I'm like, I win. Bad
That's
overnight.
crazy. Your generation is so much tougher than mine. Like we used to get like
Bro, and we weren't even tough. Like
into-
my older siblings were vicious. Like they would do horrible things to us.
that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, y'all's generation is just like not only tough, but just like I don't want to say mean necessarily, but just like of that like warmonger like gene. Because like when I was a kid, okay, yeah, we did like the flaming arrow shit, but we weren't actually trying to hurt anyone. We used to get kicked out of the mall for laying on the mattresses for too long. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me play this
Okay.
video.
All right. So here's the commercial where the guy he just becomes made of chocolate,
oh yeah, I've seen this.
Oh, that
and
is.
then like, oh, girls are interested in him, and
He
it's
ripped
like,
his own nose off.
yeah,
that
he rips
is-
his own nose off.
I hope he
Girls
goes.
dipping a strawberry in his
that's
belly
appropriate.
button.
You know he's got a chocolate dick.
Hold on, I gotta mute it. Otherwise, we're gonna get flagged for some shit.
Yeah.
That's his hand. That's not as good as Dick in the Box. It's
Oh God, Dick in a Box. I forgot.
Dick in the Box is one of the greatest videos of all time.
Melting
It
himself
is.
as hot chocolate.
Okay, but what
Well,
if it
like,
wears
yeah.
off and then he's like, ah, like that. She just bit his ass. That is
Yeah.
harassment, madam.
Took
That
a
is
bite out of his
absolutely horrible.
ass. And then it's like, oh, these girls at the gym are interested in him because he's made out of chocolate. And then
But now he has stuff like, yo,
Yeah,
that's
as
absolutely
irresistible as
horrible.
chocolate. Yeah, so that was an actual commercial in late 2000s
Can
television.
I confess something to you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
No,
a regular wearer of the chocolate axe.
Okay, even my wife was like, how come his nose grew back and his arms came back? I'm telling you, that commercial was sketchy.
I love the idea of like somebody analyzing Axe commercials and being like, "Oh my god, it gives you superpowers. You're made of chocolate, but you have like Wolverine regeneration power."
Well, the back of the fucking I don't think they do it anymore. But like Yeah, they just say like corny shit now. Like get your fresh back instantly, anytime, anywhere. Yeah. But back in the day when I was like first starting to get into like, oh, I gotta wear cologne, like 14, 15, they
Yeah.
used to like say like like they used to imply that wearing this shit would get you laid on the back of the bottle.
Yeah, which
Like
is
it was the
ridiculous.
wildest
definitely.
shit.
Yeah.
Bro,
Bro,
now
but
it's
that's
like get your groove back or whatever.
hold on.
Like,
Atlas,
Right,
do
right.
you wear cologne at all?
no, deodorant and that's it. That is
You
checkmate.
fucking
Jim,
California hippie.
Like, I just shower regularly. That's it.
Yeah,
And then
I do.
underarm deodorant, and it's like a neutral smell.
Yeah,
That's it. Like
yeah,
I don't.
exactly.
And people
I
are like,
feel
"Oh, you smell
sorry for
great." I'm
y'all
like,
the
"Yep,
wives.
just human. That's it." It's
I know women can smell better than y'all can, right?
True.
bro.
And especially because
I'm-
like I just have a bad sense of smell in general. Like,
Yeah, I do too. I have a terrible sense of smell.
yeah.
that is also wow, man.
Cool.
Interesting.
What we need to do is get pregnant because pregnant people have better senses of smell.
I don't think my anatomy works that way.
It's 2023. You can be whatever you want to be, sir.
I still don't think
Your
it would
man.
work that way. I don't think
I'll be honest with
quite
you.
plausible. I'm not going to get in this debate, but I'm just going to say I don't think it's for me.
The amount of irrational behavior that Cole goes through on a daily basis, and then adding being pregnant, I feel would be a sitcom like that.
How am I erratic? How I don't. Everybody says that, and I
I've
don't
hung out
believe
with you.
them.
You were shocked at lightning. Okay, let's just calm down. Okay, sir.
It scared the shit out of me, bro. It was an intense situation, and then all of a sudden, it's
Okay.
just really bright in the corner of my eye.
So it was intense because his brakes were wonky, as well as like the half of the car that I was in, and then
When was this?
when I visited,
Okay.
and then it was also like raining, like it was like torrential downpour, and
It
then
was
all of a
like
sudden, we were on
it was
a
like
bridge.
biblical rain.
Yeah, but we were also on a bridge where there was like nothing. So it was like
It was just over a lake, over a lake.
and then all of a sudden lightning, and he's like, ah! I'm like, what is happening right now?
I was like leaped over the steering wheel like this to begin with.
Like when you have your wipers going full and you still can't see shit, and you're just like, that might be a car. We may die. I don't know. That could be a tree. It could be a moose. It's who knows. It was.
I'm pretty sure we were live on YouTube when that happened.
We were also live on YouTube.
There was
Very irresponsible. It was entertaining.
There was a fire on the 10 freeway in LA earlier this weekend, and then we just got an email saying like, "Hey guys, the 10 was on fire. Be careful." And they're like, "Still come to work."
Yeah. Is that Interstate 10?
Yeah.
I-10? Holy
I-10.
shit!
Yeah.
That's in New Orleans too, where my mom's from.
Yeah, because it goes this way.
Yeah,
That's
it goes.
fucking wild. That's such a big.
Go across.
Yeah,
I don't know that shit. I just know that's a long ass road.
The annoying part is that the 101, like on one part of LA, goes east to west, but they still say north south.
Yeah,
and it's like, what are you? And then it eventually goes back to north south again, but it's like still annoying.
271's like that over by me because it like curves.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, it's the north, and you're like, that's east, but okay.
Well, listen, I was talking with a bunch of guys about how transit is going insane in Toronto, and they're like, so they've built like a light rail transit that goes all the way across the center of Toronto.
Cool.
And they haven't been able to turn it on because they're like, we keep on finding problems that making it unsafe. Like apparently there's one area where there's like a whole bunch of cement that's wrong, and you're like, how about you guys not be pieces of shit? And like it's like so there was
you get cement wrong.
It wasn't strong enough, like it wasn't the right mix and stuff. But hilariously, somebody did a TikTok about like things that the Eglinton LRT has lasted longer than, and one of them was the Confederacy. And I was like, shit. It was, and I was just like, bro,
Confederacy was 4 years, guys. It's
I don't even think it was 4 years.
No, it was
like 3 and some change.
Yeah. So it like. And he went through like all sorts of crazy shit, and you're just like, it lasted longer than this war, and this war, and this, and it's like, oh, it's lasted longer than World War II, and you're like, Jesus Christ, like it's pretty. And then they're like, yeah.
To be fair, most wars are about 4 years. I don't know why. It seems like a scam they got going on. Definitely some Matrix shit, but most wars are about 4 years long.
And then
So
the
are
30 Years'
elections.
War over here being like, am I a joke to you, motherfucker? Okay, now granted,
it's definitely a conspiracy, one way or another, though.
that was like a weird time in history between like the Renaissance and like the early modern period where it was just everything was a complete clusterfuck. Where like you have wars lasting 30 years, you have knights on horses with fucking like javelins, but also people have guns.
Yeah.
And like, they call it pike and shot era
which like realistically, like there's, I don't know, did you guys ever play like Age of Empires and stuff like that on the computer?
I have.
Yeah, Age of Empire, Age of Mythology, fuck yeah.
Yeah, which I'm like, I loved because you're like, there was a distinct point where you got nukes and then just creamed the crap out of everybody. You're like, I have nukes, just do and just take them out. You're like, there's a certain line where you're like, I'm the first one with horses. And there's like, and now I have guns, your horses suck. And now I have nukes and nobody can beat me. That's great. But
alternate history hub did a video about like that particular period in history because he talks about like that's also the time where like Columbus discovers the New World and we start getting stuff from there and like all that sort of there's spiel. It's
the whole thing that like Oxford University in England existed at the same time as the Aztecs, and you're like, what? And like the mammoths, and you're just like, that is a confusing situation.
Well, like man-eater sloths were alive during like while humans were alive. That's another thing that was like crazy information.
Bro, the wildest thing, you're like, Cleopatra's closer to the creation of the iPhone than she was to the creation of the pyramids. You're like, and you're like, that's like, we have a very skewed version of history where we just refer to things as like ancient. And you're like, I don't know what's happening. It happened before any time that I could think of, you know?
What do y'all think? What do y'all think's what's up with them pyramids, by the way? Since we're on a subject.
What do you mean?
What y'all think?
I think it's the most convenient way to stack rocks.
It isn't. That's the hard part.
Not. Okay.
Those
aren't rocks either.
You know, the biggest ones on the bottom, smallest ones on the top. Like
that's
like
not how that works. And also, it is the hardest
symmetrically
way.
shaped.
Yeah, they're perfect in like, and they line up with astral, like with stars.
The bricks are squares. How the fuck do they make a fucking pyramid out of square bricks?
Bro, there is.
And not only that, but they made slaves do it. The uneducated, get the fuck out of here.
It's impossible. Listen, they were like the amount of stones that are included in the pyramids. You're like, if you laid, I think it was like 100 stones per day. You're like, it would still take like 1,000 years to do. Like, it's an insane equation where you're just going.
Where did they get the technology to make the bricks?
Bro, there's a guy in the 70s that wrote a book about how he was like, no, you could have poured the cement and done it that way, and immediately like he had all of his credentials removed, and like Egyptian,
no shit.
The guy who's the head of Egyptian archaeology is like, that guy is no longer allowed in Egypt, and like he was banned from Egypt. Like it was because he's like, no, it's just a mixture of stuff. He's like, you could make the same thing, it works, and they're like, absolutely not. And that was in the 70s.
I know there was like that thing recently with Roman concrete because that's like a big deal where they're like it was like self-healing concrete, and then it turned out the key was like salt water or something.
No, it's so it has to be. So right now, concrete is made as a cold pour, whereas that was actually poured at heat and includes lime. That's the point. So the lime reacts when water goes into it, and it heals it, reheals it because it's a reaction. But hilariously, there's also concrete that was used during Greek and Roman times that is antibacterial, which they've only recently rediscovered, and they started using it in the manufacturing of hospitals. And you're like, yeah, which you're like, the crazy part is you're like, that's the difference between doing things for our benefit, but like technology being lost, and like Damascus steel, where people are like, it's Damascus steel. You're like, it's not Damascus steel. Damascus steel is lost to the ages.
Damascus steel or like Greek fire. That's the one I'm
Greek fire is a wild. Well, I mean, there was a Mythbusters where they tried to make the claw of what's his face, where it would like reach in and pick up ships, and you're like, the counterweight Like they were trying to do the equation.
Oh, Archimedes' thing.
Yeah.
Where it would, yeah.
And it was essentially would like hook onto a ship and pull it out of the water and like just it was almost like it was a trebuchet, but like outwards instead of like
I thought it was just it tried to pick it up and drop it, so it was at a weird angle, and then it would like fuck
it
up.
could, but it was enough where it would like move it as well, which like the amount of counterweight that you would need and mobility of like being able to move around, like it was just such a crazy thing. But you're going, that's the thing. Like when you look at stuff, like even if you look at the Antikythera machine, you're just like, that is basically a computer in a time that people were like, nothing exists. Everyone just walked everywhere. You're like, that's not how it was.
Generation Dan, the classical period.
What was this YouTube thing that you sent me?
Oh, no. You don't have to. Don't show it. This is more for you guys for after.
Okay.
But it was just like alternate history of talking about Pike and Shot and how fucking cool and crazy it is.
What do you guys think about?
I'll link it in the show notes / description for people who are interested. Yeah, why not? What were you gonna say?
What do you guys think about the fact that there's not only pyramids in Egypt and South America, but also mummies?
Forget about that. There are pyramids so if you follow one line around the world and link things in like it's kind of not quite the equator, but very close to it, like along that line around the entire world, there are different forms of pyramids everywhere.
Lemons are all over in those areas too.
Yeah, you're like, it's a very weird situation where you're just kind of going like, there's a
Somebody traveled the whole world, like a large,
I love that Atlas is
group
like,
of people.
Brain is on fire right now. He's like, these two are both idiots, and I think
it's like, okay,
what's the answer, man?
Human brains have like the need to look for patterns, and it's just like
100%.
It's okay. I'm you guys aren't believing me when I say that it's the most logical way to like stack things is to do it in a pyramid shape, right?
It's really not.
No, I've never stacked anything in a pyramid shape ever in my life.
So
because if you just do blocks, you get something like a Jenga tower. Like obviously, mortar notwithstanding.
But we're talking about, so think about it this way, is if you're stacking things that aren't even, and then you just go a reduction of size, that makes sense. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about something that is smooth and perfected, like it's meant to be
a pyramid.
Look at it with adoration, right? That's not the same thing. Because
but I've never stacked anything in a triangle, so I don't know what the fuck Atlas is talking about here.
No,
now,
but
that might be credited to the fact that I'm an idiot, but
you haven't stacked shit on shit. So let's just start there. Is if you take like sacks of cement and you want to stack them, if you want to stack them evenly, they will fall over. Whereas if you do like 4 and then 3 and then 2 and then you reduce the size, it is more stable. I understand what you're saying, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about things that are down to a perfect 1/10 of a centimeter in measurements around that. And remember, up until the Eiffel Tower, the Great Pyramids were the biggest thing that humans had created, right? Like the next thing that was big was the Eiffel Tower, right? There's a huge discrepancy between that.
Right, and then we came to America and just built everything big.
Well, and remember, there's a lot of America that like they were like, oh, buildings can't be higher than 10 stories or whatever because of cement. And then you're like, oh, and then they started including rebar and steel structures inside of things, and then they were able to go much higher. And there was a whole concept,
stronger,
right?
Gotcha.
Right.
Steel beams. That's crazy. How modern
steel beams.
It's like
they don't melt, by the way.
Oh my god.
Why? Why did you have to do that? We almost had him, Cole, and then you're like, by the way, jet fuel doesn't bring melt steel beams. On the sideline.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
You guys never answered my Dean Scream versus I Have Spoken. Would you rather? By the way.
Oh, I Have Spoken I'm definitely a fan of that. But yeah.
Yeah. So every time
I like that I Have Spoken. I like that too. It's very
feels so satisfying.
It's very finite and it's very like, don't fuck with me. You know?
I have said that to my wife.
Okay, what if?
I have spoken.
This is every time you leave a room. So, like, let's say you like Dino, you have a like a crazy argument with Victoria. It's really tense. You leave the room. I have spoken. Like, you gotta shout it, and then close.
I might just start doing that for the fun of it.
Fine, I'm fine with it. That's like very on brand for me.
I think I don't know. I think for the Dean scream, you can recover from like a crazy entrance than you can from like the weird exit. You know.
See, but also too, like I remember what's your friend that came on the show? The first thing he said, he's like, "What's up, Power Bottoms?" And I was like, "What the hell?" Max,
I remember that.
Oh, Max Malecki.
Yeah. Which was hilarious. I think it was just before. Cole, were you here when that happened?
I feel like I was. I do remember that.
He came on the show. He's like, "What's up, Power Bottoms?" And I was like, "What the hell?"
I was just on a show with him last night, I think, night before. At the time of recording this, it was good. Yeah,
it was, but like somebody who jumps into any conversation with that, you're kind of going, "I think this is going to be an entertaining time." Right?
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying. Like it's a weird entrance, and then you can just kind of build on it from there.
But like at the same time, like it's I know that in my history there have been times where I've said stuff like repeatedly and people get annoyed, but I'm like, I do it just to annoy you. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, like when I see people do that, I'm like, I was way better at that than you. I'm like, now I am my own character as opposed to other characters, but you know, it's walking in and go, hello. And people are like, why do you say it weird? And I'm like, just to annoy you.
God, imagine you do the I have spoken, close the door. You come back as you forget your keys. Sorry, I forgot my keys. I have spoken. You got to do it again. Close the door.
Like,
I don't know. Weird, like, beginnings and endings of conversations have never bothered me because, for whatever reason, the majority of my friends in my childhood were goths. And that's how they are. A lot of people don't realize that. You think goths are, like, quiet and spooky. They're not. They're the most insane, like, outgoing people ever. So, like, to me, that's probably half my personality. Why I am the way I am, because like I have this gothic background. Not me per se, but I had all these friends that were.
He was the one guy wearing a toque and a bunch of goths, and he's like,
yeah, I was wearing like when I'm wearing a sports jersey, hanging out with everybody else is wearing like fucking face paint.
That's exactly how goths like to be categorized. People with face paint. That's exactly how you just tell them. Oh, what's with all the face paint? You guys in a gang or something?
Oh, they were hilarious. I don't know. Everybody was like, "There's the weird kids." And I'm like, "I know, it's awesome."
If you ever want to piss off goths, be like, "What are you guys, juggalos?" And they just get really angry immediately. Just so you guys know. Yeah, I like to just call people out for that kind of stuff. Like people who wear jerseys, I'm like, "Oh, do you play sports?" And they're like, "No, I'm a fan of this person." And I'm like, "What do they do?" They're just like, fuck you, man.
Did that just to mess with them?
Listen, I like doing, well, at my size, even now, people are like, you would second guess throwing a punch at me because I'm like, yeah, I'm still bigger than you. So that's probably not a good idea. And then also, you know, now I got speed. I just run away. Great.
I never want to hit anybody anyway. So it's like, when somebody comes at me in some weird way, attacks whatever they think I'm about, I'm just like, yeah. Pretty much.
Somebody commented that. So when I was working with the call goths emos,
goths, all that shit, same thing.
No, I'm goth, not emo. I'd be like, really? Are you sure?
Same.
Just wait for them to explain it. No. Somebody was like at the Halloween haunt. They were like, "How is it? Anytime anybody says something about you, you just go." Because I'm like, because I don't care about people's opinions. She's like,
right, exactly.
Yeah, and I'm like. So it's like, well, Dino did that. I'm like, maybe. Who knows? I wasn't there. Like, but you were there. And I'm like, no, if you say so. I don't know.
It's so weird to care about somebody else's opinion enough to want to hit them. Like, it's what you get for thinking a thing.
It might be genetic because one of my older brothers, I remember there was a whole thing where he, one of the kids in his kindergarten class ate paste. Or ate like Play-Doh, so he punched him in the face. And I'm like, "You're stupid!" And just he had to make sure he knew how dumb he was. And I'm like, I don't disagree with that necessarily, but like, I don't think that was the first course of action. You just look and be like, "You just eat that?" It's like people who are like, "Everyone's eaten boogers before." I'm like, "That's disgusting." I'm like, and people are like, "What's the big deal?" I'm like, "They're boogers. Don't eat them."
I just walk away, bro. Like, this isn't my vibe. Like, you'd have to hit me to get me to hit you. That's the only way. And even then, I would hit you and then be like, back up a little bit. Like, are we doing this? Or like, I don't understand.
The motion he made when doing that, that looks like a 19th century like, bare knuckle boxing. Like,
I'll break your face. Yes, yeah. Well, realistic. See, that's the thing is,
It's like that scene from Gangs of New York, right?
yeah, exactly. Nobody punches like that. It's ridiculous. But like at the same time, at this stage of my life, I'm kind of like, I don't want to get my ass kicked, but at the same time, I kind of wish someone would try because I'm like, I would like to see what I could do because I am. So, and now I can move, and I'm like,
and now I'm just imagining him like provoking people, just trying to see, like, I just want to see what I can do. I want to take this body for a test drive.
Listen, like hilariously, like people in my that I was working with, like a couple people got assaulted, like a couple people got punched in the stomach and everything, and I'm like, bro, I said heinous shit to some people. Like one guy was wearing like an Emirates jersey, but it was very tight, and I was like, oh, they didn't have an adult size. You had to go with the child's, and his friends were just like, oh shit, you know. Another guy had like a mohawk, but it was like combed to the side. I'm like, where do you get half a haircut? And he was a big guy, and I'm just like, what are you gonna do? Nothing.
Okay. The only time I ever got into like a violent situation, I was like confused the whole time, and I guess he realized he didn't want to fight me after like he saw me like kind of like I don't know, just like pull my shoulders back a little bit. So this is what happened. I'm on the freeway, right? I'm coming off. I'm exiting onto my road. This dude doesn't have any headlights on, so I don't see him. It's nighttime. Okay, you see how fucking dark it gets in the Midwest. So I pull out in front of him, and then this car I pull out in front of him, I did not see whatsoever, comes whooshing by me, and it parks like diagonally right in front of me. So this whole time I'm like, that dude just drove crazy. What's going on? And my brother's like, we about to fight. Like, Grayson, okay? Grayson's always the first person to jump into fights, okay? But he's this fucking big, around, and tall, okay?
Grayson looks like a human version of Master Splinter, okay? Like he's got that. He's this big, and he's like, "Let's go!" And you're like, "Who are you going with?" What? Yeah. Anyways, go on. Sorry.
So this car parks like diagonally, blocks the way. So I put my car in park. I'm thinking, there's something wrong here. He needs help. You know what I mean? I'm like confused. He gets out of his car. You pull out in front of me. You pull out in front of me. I'm like looking behind him, like, who? Like, I roll my windows down. I'm like, I'm sorry, sir. He like looks at me, makes eye contact with me. I'm the driver. He makes eye contact with me, walks to the other side of my car, and punches Grayson in the fucking face, and then jumps back in his car. And we can't get out of the car because I just bought this car, so I didn't realize that like the locks, you couldn't open the door from the inside if the car was locked. So we're just like wiggling the car, right? That's when I wanted to fight, but he got away because we couldn't get out of the fucking car. But the whole fucking time, I was just confused. I was like, why does he wants to fight? Like, that never crossed my mind until he hit my brother in the face that he wanted to fight.
Listen, this is just a PSA. If you get mad because you're an idiot and want to fight somebody because you're stupid, you're like, no. You don't have any rights there. I'm like, if anything, you should just punch yourself in the face. Like, it's just mean. And also, like, I've had that too, where people are like, well, you want to go? And I'm like, I'll go. And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, no one else is volunteering there, sir. So it's me or trottle along. And there's like, oh, fucking go. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And they're like, not with you. And I'm like, I'm the one who did that. So what are you gonna do?
The fucked up part is my brother was like, he hits like a little bitch. I don't know why he hit me, but he hits like a little bitch. I was like,
also,
yeah, go tell him.
The guy who will not stop, and you're like, you're so.
He is. He's the motherfucker, man.
Yeah. He also like has a beard. It's not a beard. It's like four hairs.
It's a neck beard.
Around into like squiggle marks. It's very peculiar. Anyways, this has been huffing darts and smoking farts.
What does that even mean?
Just talking shit.
Okay.
We have talked a lot of shit. Let's be honest.
That's true.
Okay?
That's
if
true.
anyone asks, this was just a complete shit. We had a guest, everyone, and we finally had a Gen Z, an actual Gen Z. Not the Cole is like technically Gen Z.
I'm like that Steve Buscemi meme. Hello,
How do you do, fellow kids? Yeah.
Hey, young people, yeah. Fellow young.
So we had an actual guest. They got sick. We're kicking it down the road. Hopefully next week or the week after.
Yeah, hopefully.
Them goddamn snowflakes with their fucking immune systems.
Bro, every Gen Zer we've had has quit, and they're like, I just can't. I can't do once a week.
I get it.
You're like, you have nothing to do, and you have no life. I don't understand.
I actually was reading an article about that today, about how Gen Zers are having a hard time not only showing up on time, but like staying at a job more than a year.
Oh,
like,
Now, granted, the jobs aren't paying them enough to warrant staying there.
That's 100%. I agree, and I'm one of those types of people. But I just thought it was funny that you mentioned that.
Well, like, bro, so this Halloween haunt, like, so many of the people, I'm like, we got paid well, and the whole thing was like, we're in a maze, and like each place in the maze has a specific area, right? And then they're like, oh, and they would want to talk, and I'm like, hey man, just stay in your position, don't come talk to me, just stay over there. They're like, well, it's boring. I'm like, yeah, life is boring. Just stand there and wait for people. That's all you got to do. You're
getting your job, man.
And there's like, well, I'd rather talk. And I'm like, I don't like you. Just leave me alone. Just, you know. So.
Well, hey, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Generation Dan, from a man made of chocolate to pike and shot tactics of the 1600s.
Steel beams.
Cole, where can people find and follow you?
You can find me at Sniffing Glue 22 on all platforms.
You can follow the show at Generation Dan everywhere you get your social medias. You can follow me at Atlas Novak, same places, or check out my other podcast, Nexus at Night. That's about a trading card game called Vanguard. If you don't like it, I completely understand. How about you, Dino?
Dino the Genetic Marvel in all places. I'm going to start doing more things in the future. Just I got sick, and then I had work, what a time waster. Jesus, it's so cumbersome. I feel like everyone should not have a job. It's just go learn.
I agree.
It's just horrible. But yeah, follow me, whatever. Come over. We'll make a barbecue. I don't care. Whatever. I got nothing to do. It's fun times. So.
All right.